from New York. People are pretty rough there. So in order to prepare him for the trip, I started being nasty to him, and I kind of liked it. The way he accepted it was just a lot of fun. So I've been that way ever since, even though he's come back to California. I think people in New York were too nasty.
They were fast friends ever since.
And I told him, Guinness, the only place I get my wine is out of a can.
Oh, God. Yes, I remember that. All right, so we got some Sauvignon Blanc here. This is a grape that's famous in France, in the Loire Valley. It's known as Sancerre, and it's down in the Bordeaux. It's mixed a lot with other varieties to make it a little sweeter. But the Sancerre one is noted for being minerally more than anything. And it's grown also in New Zealand. And the New Zealand style is different from the way we do it. If you don't pull leaves and you have the grapes sort of hidden underneath the foliage, it develops a grassy, and some people say cat pee character of the wine. Whereas the stuff we do, we pull leaves and have mottled sunlight, and we try to get a tropical fruit and melon character. And the characters of the taste are often described as being citrusy and very fruity. You'll notice the difference between the 18 and the 19. The 19 is much more fruit forward because it's younger. The 18 is bordering now on being, what's the word?
Having lost its fruit?
No, the word, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Oh, complex.
Complexity, that's the word, sorry.
Opposite.
I knew
that. If you like the 18, that's really too bad because we're almost out of it, but I thought you'd like to taste it before we are out of it.
What's the difference in color now?
The color should be about the same, Joe.
I think the 18 is a little more golden though. If you have a piece
Dark.
of paper and you can hold it up.
Yeah.
And that's just a question of age. Has the sugars that they were harvested at were basically the same, and therefore the maturity of the grape itself was about the same. The 18, one other thing, when you're tasting wine, you know, if you want to have a refreshing drink, it could be cold, but if you're tasting it and you want to pick out little nuances, it's better to be a little warmer than just frigid cold. And we took these out of the fridge about a half an hour ago just to let them warm up, because you'll notice if you have a glass of wine at dinner and you start, when you're starting dinner and you know 15, 20 minutes later you're still having dinner and there's still wine in your glass, which I don't understand, but some people have wine in there after 15 or 20 minutes. You'll notice that it's warmed up a little bit and you'll pick out more characteristics, more flavors, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to swirl the 18, and the nose is quite nice. It's very fragrant, and then the 19, fragrant nose also. So the 18, I'll take a sip.
Nice.
Fruit, but it's developing some complexity. You know, wineries often have what they call a library, and they keep a lot of their old vintages so they can go back and taste them later on and compare them to the new stuff. We usually sell out everything, and we don't have a library, so we just have to remember, and that makes the story better.
We're working on our library though.
Who are these people?
That's Kate DeLacy.
Oh, hi, Kate. Peter and Karen's daughter.
Just to call you out.
Tell her unmute.
Unmute, tell them who you are. And hey
Hi, Dustin.
Hello.
Hi.
guys.
I thought, Dennis, when you tested, you were just supposed to taste it and then spit it into a container.
Well, we usually spit it on the floor.
Whoa.
Since we're in public now, we just have to drink it. Either that, we'd have a spit bucket maybe, but we don't have a spit bucket. How did
Okay.
Jameson move over there? He was over here. I guess as more people come in.
Exactly.
Yeah, they bounce around.
The light.
This is his first Zoom.
Have you
Pretty
guys,
exciting.
can you see everybody else this weekend too?
No.
We can,
Oh,
you can
really?
only see us?
Yeah.
I
saw-
Four. I have
We
4 squares.
we
Well,
see it.
the one good thing is you can't see Vancini. That's the best thing about it.
I don't, Jameson. I don't know how we get the others.
You see Jameson?
I don't.
Oh,
Oh.
If you take the arrow, this is Ginny, at the top, there's a little blue arrow on the right side of your screen. That will scroll through all the tiles that have everybody's picture in it.
There we go.
Because it'll
Jenny's
only
got-
put up a certain number of pictures at once.
You can also click on gallery view,
is
and
that
that'll
Jenny?
show everyone.
Patty saying that?
No, that's Jenny Chandler.
Oh, hi, Jenny. That's
I get
very,
it.
very hip.
And
There
then
it is.
Kyle said that there's also a gallery view.
Left side.
Gallery that you can hit the screen right there. Okay, now you see everybody.
Oh, yeah, I've got everybody now.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
We're so hip.
Well, that's pretty neat.
9 squares.
Anthony,
There's Joe
Anthony's
Jensen
muted.
looking at the camera, very,
I
very.
like your shirt, Esther.
If you're on an iPad, the gallery view is on the left-hand side. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, it's on the upper right-hand side.
How about if you're on a flip-top phone like I am?
It should be on the left-hand side.
Teach you new
Dennis, do you show a count? Dennis,
Yes,
Got it.
sir.
do you show a count on your screen?
Count of what? The
Who's
number?
on, how many are on?
I say we have 11 people, including ourselves, just by the
Okay,
pictures.
yeah, we're just seeing 9, I guess maybe. I don't know where they are.
Well, who do you see? Do you see a pretty lady with long hair? That's one of the McFaddens. She's in New Jersey.
Yes,
On the bottom, it says 13 participants.
13, there you go.
So who else is there? We only
Two of
have
them are blacked out.
Yeah, me. Hi,
Andy Johnson from Texas and Sam Net.
Our tasting room.
Here
yeah.
as well.
Oh,
They're
Just
just watching in.
oh,
hit your join with video.
Good one, James.
I saw you laugh, Kyle.
Heard you, Jameson.
Yeah, good one, right?
Show him off. He's 80 years old like I am, and knows all
Better
that
look.
stuff. He's the manager of the class of 1960 Notre Dame alumni group. So he's got to herd all these old farts around, do it electronically, and he's worked very assiduously to set up some sort of thing that we can electronically deal with each other. And you talked to him the other day, he says nobody's signed up. We're not all dead yet either, so.
You know what they decided, Dennis, you know what they decided to do? And I kind of convinced them on it. I said, sign everybody up as if they signed up on their own. I said, they'll never know the difference. If they don't like it, they can opt out. And I'll bet you there won't be 6 guys that looked at it enough to say, I'm opting out.
Well, the worst part though is we signed up with our bank accounts and they won't know that they've made big donations. But that's okay. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
cause. Yes.
What if I said over there?
All my kids have graduated from college, so there are no more worthy causes. So I suppose it's all right. Now, both wines have had a chance to warm up and mellow out. I'd be interested to know what you think of each one. Chime in.
First thing I noticed is the color. I think the 18 is yellower, bit thicker, and the 19 is definitely clearer, lighter colored.
And
complex as the 18.
Mhm.
What else? How about the tastes?
I think I prefer the 19.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The 18 seems a little heavier.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it, but
Yeah.
The 18 has a slightly higher alcohol also, so you might notice it's a little warmer
oh, okay.
than the 19.
I was just about to say that. You're
my
taking all the right answers.
You must be related.
To me, the 18 has a little bit of a bolder taste than the 19.
Mhm.
Okay. Boulder. That's a good
Trying
description.
to figure out what the flower is. To me, it tastes almost like rose.
Mhm.
I see that on the label for the 18. It says made with organic. Oh, wait, they both say organic grapes. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that change the flavor? Like, are you able to kind of sniff it out for organic versus
No.
non-organic?
I can't. Um, it's important to us because the vineyard's all around the house, and I raised my family here, and I didn't want to be running around with chemicals that could be toxic to people eventually.
We all turned out great.
Yeah.
Very
Everything
nice.
has only one head.
Okay, Dennis, can you explain something to the folks, for those that don't know? About 5 years ago, you got your award from California.
The state of California.
Oh, you mean for the sparkling wine?
No, for the organic operation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
When we were out there for your picnic, you
uh-huh.
had just
The Golden
received an
Bear.
award. Is that what it was?
No, the Golden Bear was for the sparkling.
Oh,
I got
Well, this
some award for being an organic farmer for
yes.
a lot of years. It's sort of like, that's what we do, and we're not trying to get an award for it.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing to do, and it's, things you do that are good, you get people to find out about it, and you try to hide the things that aren't so good. Which, of course, since I've already gone to confession, there are none to talk about.
Don't you have a son-in-law that went to USC?
Oh, God. Who invited me? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, it's her husband, and they're going to have a baby in October, and they want to name the baby Troy.
That's not true. We are having a baby, but his name is
Congratulations.
Troy.
It was really an interesting thing. Infantine told me fairly soon in their serious relationship that they were sleeping together, but she waited weeks afterwards to reveal that he had gone to USC. It was a bitter pill to swallow, I'll have to say. I hate that song.
If anyone doesn't know, my dad went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, but we could go with the fight song, Dennis, at the
No, I
end.
don't think so, Joe.
Like
Joe, when we were freshmen, he's from Kokomo, Indiana. That's like 64 years. That's pretty long.
Right.
The nose is really changing on these as they sit.
Hey, Guinness, I got a question. So, and I'm not a white wine sort of subject matter. My sense is the 18 tastes fuller than the 19. If we were to drink the 19 a year from now, is it going to sort of become a fuller bodied wine?
I would not be surprised, and it would be more complex and less fruity than the 2020. Hopefully we'll have a 2020. The crop looks good and the vineyard looks great. We've got beans growing that are just fabulous. We're gonna do our newsletter to come out, I guess, on Monday. And Fontaine has taken some pictures of our corn and our beans and taken pictures of some blossoms in the vineyard. things look good out there. It's pretty good. Nice year so far, but it's early.
How's the water, Dennis? Supply.
Well, we're in a drought situation. We have about 20 inches. Average is 35. So the water coming through the tunnel that supplies the river going through here is less, but we're okay.
Good.
Grapes are not a heavy feeder of water when they're mature.
Just a miss.
We're keeping an eye on it.
Great.
The other thing I wanted to point out, we have this map on our website. You can probably see it, but it's a map of the farm. And
Oh,
the grapes in our 18, we have 5 blocks of Sauvignon Blanc. And for the 18, we pulled from all 4 of those 5 blocks. And for the 19, we only pulled from 2 of them. So that's another slight variation in these 2 wines.
Yeah, I was going to ask the 18 versus the 19. The 18 is a little darker in color, has a bit more alcohol, versus the 19. How much of that is just age and how much is the difference in the year?
I think it's age and a little bit of the alcohol.
And one thing I'd say about the 19 on color is it has a copperish metallic color to it versus a yellow or a straw that I think the 18 has.
Huh, okay.
yeah.
A bluish sort of, I don't know. A rusted copper.
May I ask, when you're making the wine or deciding what you would like the taste to be each year, can you decide a whole lot of that in advance, or do you sort of say, well, depending upon which blocks we'll pull the grapes from, we can do X, Y, Z this year?
We prune the same way, given that the vine is mature. The crop level varies a little bit based on weather. And unless we have early rains that force us to go in and pick earlier to avoid having rot problems, it's pretty much the same product every year. We have a customer who has 6 or 7 fairly high-end grocery stores in the Bay Area of San Francisco. Molly Stone is the name of the store. Their wine buyer has told me that in a blind tasting, he can pick our stuff out. He says it has a certain character to it. Now, I guess I don't have enough experience with other wineries' products, but this guy does. And he said there's something very unique about the quality of the stuff that you guys produce. And I don't think it has as much to do with how we do it as where it comes from. And this term terroir, which is a combination of the type of soil and the look that they give the sun and the climate, all of that combines to come out with a character of the vineyard. And I think that's the thing that every year it's pretty much the same. It's all good, we think. The only one that varies a fair amount, sometimes when we make our Riesling, Riesling has a characteristic sometimes to have the fermentation stick. That means that you start out with sugars of a dissolved solids of 22, 23 degrees %. And as the alcohol is formed, those fructose numbers go down. Now, if it sticks and doesn't ferment anymore, you have what's called a residual sugar character, and that means it's a lot sweeter. If we have it go completely dry, it's a different tasting wine. And when we do the Riesling, that's on Saturday, we're going to be doing a 16 Riesling versus a 19 Riesling, and
Oh,
that'll be a real difference because it comes from the same vineyard. It's just a different year, and then in 16 it stuck. Now, my own personal preference, I love the 16, but on the other hand, the 17 was dry and it's all gone, and we still have some 16 left. So I can't be pushing stuff into the market that people don't like as much. The 19 is dry. So that, if you want to come back on Saturday.
I'm signed up. Yeah, my mom too.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. That one's a really fun tasting because I think the differences in the 18 and the 19 of the Sauvignon Blanc are slightly more subtle. But the 16 and the 19 Riesling is very obvious. They're both considered dry, but one is sweeter than the other. Both really good too. Especially the 16 is really great with dessert. I just made a really delicious cherry clafouti. Like a cherry custard dessert thing.
I didn't have any taste of it. You
share
didn't
it.
give me any of that
It's
infantine.
Do you know what makes up the soil up there? Like what the components of the soil on your land are?
Gravelly loam.
Yeah, it's a gravelly loam, basically.
Nice
Some
one,
of our
Jameson.
hillside vineyards are more clay because they're part of a hill. The gravelly loam is more of an alluvial fan kind of thing. Over the millennia, it's the streams have deposited stuff, and that's what comes from. Lots of gravel. You can get 2 or 3 inches of rain, and a couple days later, you can be driving on it. It drains out pretty quickly and maintains what they call soil capacity. And it's good to, the vines don't like something too wet, but they like some moisture so they can drink water. That's what they like. I don't know.
Dennis,
Fine.
how about the Russian River? How much of an advantage do you think that is over somebody that's not on that particular water? Or do you think it's a factor?
You mean the Russian River versus the Navarro
Kokomo,
River or the Napa River?
The Kokomo Wildcat Creek, for example.
Famous for great wines, the Kokomo Wildcat Creek. Are you kidding?
It's old rubber boots and rubber tires. So I don't know.
I don't think the water itself has any differences than just other kinds of water, unless the other kinds of water are contaminated. And this is not. This is far enough up the way that it just isn't. We drink it, you know, not we don't pump it out of the river to the house, but when we're swimming, we drink it, no problem.
Yeah.
Hey, Jameson.
Yeah.
I've got a business question for you. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. A few years back, Blue Quail was prolific on the shelves of some of the bigger grocery chains. It's disappeared.
Like Harris Teeter, right?
That's exactly right. How do we get it back, or can we?
We're trying to. We had a distributor go belly up that was putting us in there, and yeah, we're working on getting back to South Carolina.
Okay.
But the contact for Harris Teeter dried up, and it was a real bummer for us. We were selling a lot of wine to North and South Carolina, and then poof, and they went belly up and owed us like $25,000. So it wasn't very cool.
How about Publix? Are they one of yours?
We're not in Publix. We're not in a lot of big grocery stores. That's kind of the battleground for all the big wineries that give really heavy promotions on volume. It's a tough game. We're more in like the mom and pop retailers and some on-premise restaurant stuff.
Oh, that's all right. It gives me another reason to go out and sip it with your dad, quite often, and solve the problem.
Or the direct to consumer or the wine club is pretty good.
We do it that way. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go. Thanks for doing this. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you on the next one.
Kyle, good to see you.
Bye, Kyle. Don't do it again.
Ginny, I have a question. Are you actually using Russian River water, or isn't your water really the Eel River because it's coming through the tunnel?
By the time exits the powerhouse in Potter Valley, it's Russian River water.
Ah,
But
interesting.
it's taken up over the hill here from the Eel River. Now, some forces of darkness and ignorance like to consider it Eel River water, and it's been stolen. But we don't subscribe to that view.
I lived in Humboldt County, I have to tell you.
Oh, God.
I'm a little sympathetic.
Well, let me tell you something. The land that's upstream of the Potter Valley project composes of about 8% of the total land area of the Eel River Basin, counting the main fork, the middle fork, the North Fork, and the South Fork. Potter Valley project takes an average of 20% of that 8%. Now, 20% of 8% is 1.6%, and that's the amount of water that is shoveled off down south to create the culture that lives there. There are 600,000 or 700,000 people that one way or another lives downstream of this project that depend on that water going all the way down to Marin County.
Plus all the businesses and the agriculture and everything else that depends on that.
I'm very familiar with it. I actually went to the CPUC for the last round of the deregulation hearings on behalf of Humboldt County. And we had an expert that testified that we did not want the project dismantled. And we were successful.
What's that?
What was the reason that you did not want the project dismantled?
Because we were afraid it was going to be sold and that the water would continue to flow, but there would be less control over it.
Ah, well, you're aware that PG&E has decided not to renew their license.
Yes, I am actually, but
And
I'm
I think
out of the game these days.
one of the benefits of the project so far as Humboldt County is concerned is they've got a lake, Lake Pillsbury, that has a lot of water, not a lot, but enough. And it's certainly more water than would be going down the Eel River if that reservoir weren't there. So there's a lot of discussion on both sides of that issue.
A lot of pieces.
Yeah. As it is, over the last 20 years, the water coming through the tunnel has been cut in half, mostly for fish considerations.
Wow.
This is deep into local.
This is certainly
water
wine
politics.
talk. Maybe that's what brings it out in people. Is
I know.
Catch you tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Mr.
Fontaine and Guinness, we're gonna check out now. We've got like 8 bottles of Sauvignon Blanc that we got to drink tonight, and then we got to find the Zinfandel for tomorrow night.
Good.
So we will see you an hour later tomorrow night.
Perfect.
Sorry, I missed seeing you guys this spring. It would have been a fun time.
I know we're gonna have to come out and visit you guys again.
Yeah, no
Well,
worries.
I'll have to watch you do.
Where's Judith?
She is now. She has an old friend who's 93 years old, and she's trying to help him settle his affairs. And she's up doing that with him, and it's yeah.
Okay.
93 is. I thought I was getting cranky, but this guy.
God bless you, Fontaine.
Yeah, thank you.
Ciao, you guys.
So long, Peter and Karen. So
Hey,
long.
Guinness. What's your favorite food pairing with the Sauvignon Blanc?
Anything that is sort of like chicken, fish, anything that goes with a white wine. But Judith and I sit over the river here every afternoon and just drink it with cheese. It's really good stuff.
Great. Dennis,
What's your name? Jean? Is it Jeannie Ann?
Jean Ann, yes.
Jeannie Ann. I am very glad to meet you, and we ought to try to figure out if we do have some connections. There was a guy named McFadden that I saw that had a vineyard in the Napa Valley, and I looked him up. His name was, what the hell is his name?
I don't know.
The Nobel Prize winner, and a good guy. He originally comes from, his McFaddens came in the 1850s to Kentucky. Daniel McFadden. and he won a Nobel Prize for economics. Lives down in Berkeley. Good guy. And our McFadden's come from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
This is the first time I've heard that.
Well, my father came from Donegal, Ireland.
Of course, Churchill Letterkenny. That's where we all came from.
Letterkenny, exactly.
Yes.
We're all the men left, all the women stayed.
Oh, what a terrible thing it was having to come here to the United States to have to deal with all these gringos. Yes, but I guess he did okay because there you are.
Yep, no complaints.
Dennis, I wanted to ask if you got an in yet to get your wine in the fancy clubs for the dun 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 dun. The name of that school, USC?
Oh, those
Oh,
guys. No, they don't deserve it. That would be pearls before swine, I think. Yeah.
You know their nickname, the University of Spoiled Children.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Scumbags, yeah. They're terrible people. Actually, two of the smartest, hardworkingest young men I know are my son-in-law and the son-in-law of my best friend in Potter Valley. They both went to USC, so I have to quietly applaud their graduation. They're at least the ones who graduated. I can't say that the football graduations, but the rest of the school does.
There's a wines class at Cornell. There are several that do
Hi, Esther.
lots of tastings. Hi. And I have to say that the wines class that I took, the intro to wines class at Cornell, was the most difficult class I took.
Really?
Yeah. I was scared to check my grade after.
They have a program for management of hotels and stuff like that that's world famous. No wonder you ran into a buzzsaw with that class.
Yeah, I'm a hotelier, and I'm surprised Jameson's not. I feel like he would have really loved the program.
Well, it's too cold up there in the winter.
Very cold.
I almost went to Cornell.
Oh, really? Because you're the New Yorker, yes.
Yeah, and I won a state scholarship, and Cornell contacted me and said they'd make up the difference.
Wow.
And, my father said, well, you can go to Notre Dame. It cost him
Yeah.
$1,200 a year, which...
He knew what a great class we were going to be in.
Yes, he didn't know that, but now he knows.
Win-win.
Greatest class that ever went through that place.
That's what Father Hesburgh said.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Of course, he says that at every
Class.
Yeah.
So do you guys have favorites? Can I see a show of hand who prefers the 18? Oh, okay. Got some for the 18 and then the 19.
The only one I'm drinking.
I'll cancel Colleen out.
There was a shipping delay on Jean Ann's wine. So she's
Right, I
gonna do this all over again.
You know what's interesting is as they get warmer, I like the 18 more.
Ah.
But when they're cold, I like the 19 better.
Hey, Taylor.
Hi.
Hi, Taylor.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Jameson's getting married in November, he thinks.
Wow.
Congratulations.
I don't know about the COVID thing and whether that's going to get involved in it. But
Find a way.
Awesome. Wow.
forward
Congrats.
to.
Look very cute
You
together.
know what my niece is doing, and you can do the
Oh,
virtual
thanks.
wedding in September.
You think they're cute together, you ought to see her alone. It's even cuter.
So you have a
Oh,
lot of
thanks.
things going on in the family. Fontaine's expecting, Jameson's getting married. That's amazing.
Life is going on. I have a young girlfriend. Now she's 73, but she's younger than I am. And she's also beautiful, which is fun.
She's the best. We call her Saint Judith.
Yes, they do.
I've heard there's a movement to learn the Irish language in Northern California. Have any of you run into people who are learning? And also Irish football?
In Northern California?
Yeah, including people of non-Irish lineage. Just, I guess they're up for the
Where
challenge.
in Northern California, they're trying to learn to speak Gaelic?
Not Gaelic, full-on Irish.
Who's that with you,
Just-
Esther?
This is Honey. She's stealing my cheese. I have a little plate of.
A little cheese.
Cheese and honey go well together.
This was a good idea, Dennis.
Well, it wasn't mine, it was hers. And I agree with you, Joe. It was a good idea. You guys coming back tomorrow and Saturday?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're doing other things. But we started using this Zoom a few months ago with Colin and my side, and every couple of weeks, one of the kids lines it all up, and everybody gets on, and
Yeah, that's
those working well with this.
I understand it's pretty easy to hack into. There's probably some 16-year-old kid in a high-rise in Shanghai listening to all of this right now, trying to figure out if there's anything to be gained by getting intelligence from us.
China is a huge wine market.
Good luck.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of intelligence going on here.
We'll see some Sauvignon Blanc coming out of Huang before long.
Absolutely.
Dad, so what about the nose on any of these? We haven't really hit on any of the middle part of the sheet.
Well, when we first started, the nose was floral in both of them, I thought.
I thought that the 18 was a little more tropical
I agree.
and almost grassy. A
No.
little
No,
lime zest.
She went to New Zealand on her honeymoon. She's
Oh.
got this thing about New Zealand stuff.
I love it. I love it. I didn't know I would, but I love it. But by the end of it, I love a New Zealand SB. They're so good.
Every morning I see her, she says, "Good day," and I'm trying to get out of that mode.
Good on.
Still driving on the other side of the road. It gets very complicated.
But it's Potter Valley. People expect that anyway. But yeah, it could be a problem.
I think the nose has a little lime zest on it and a little more minerality on the 18. And the 19 is more floral and almost peppery. As it warms up, there's a little pepper in there for me.
Right. I just picked up on that.
Yeah.
So under the citrus category, is grapefruity misspelled, or is that how it's?
Thank you for catching that.
Oh, I thought that was just a wine thing, grapefruity.
I sent that to you to proofread, so thanks for catching it now.
He missed it.
It looks cute that way.
It's got intensity too.
Comes from fast fingers, moving those left back.
Intensity.
Oh, this is so professional. I thought you just hijacked it from somewhere.
Thank you.
She had Ernesto do it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess some of these don't really apply to white wines. I mean, I wouldn't say that the age, because obviously we don't put any oak on anything. You wouldn't have any of the age in these wines. If we try to Riesling, there's a bit of petrol in a Riesling. You're going to do that when, on Saturday or?
Saturday, yeah. The 16 has petrol on those, which is great.
On green, this could have a touch of grass, maybe some apple,
Yep.
I'd say. No spice.
For age, when we go through the Zin, there's definitely a little like tobacco or smoke or something.
Yeah, definitely. Some vanilla, maybe.
Yeah.
Was there any spice, do you think, in these? Is there any mint or? I don't know. It might be a stretch.
I think the 19 has a little pepper
Yeah.
and a little mint. It's funny how you say the word and then you smell it and you can kind of smell it. Now I'm looking.
My olfactory senses have been shot. I think I had a test with the coronavirus, and I wasn't able to smell for like almost 2 weeks. And here we are trying to taste wines, and I'm doing my best.
Do you think that
it'll come back?
Your inability to have olfactory distinction is because of the test, or did you have a little COVID?
Well, I don't know. I was tested for antibodies and I came back negative twice, but I had strange symptoms.
They
So
think one of the symptoms is you don't have a taste, you don't have a olfactory character either.
yeah, yeah, and that happened for almost 2 weeks, but it's coming back.
Did you rest to recover, Jameson?
Did I rest?
Yeah, I've heard that's like the #1 thing to do.
No rest for the weary.
To sleep in? I slept in till about 8 o'clock this morning, which was pretty nice.
Breaking the rules. Taylor. Can you
I know.
Yeah. You have to go to bed at 12 o'clock and wake up at 7.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've never associated with Jameson until I heard about Taylor. It's rules, and Jameson has rules.
Oh yeah.
I don't see where.
Yeah, and I'm a calcified 38-year-old. You know, I've just been doing things a certain way for a long time, and you know,
Yeah, 38's a long
it takes
time.
some time to
Is Joe still there?
list. No black fruit. That's for red.
Lemongrass, I feel.
Lemongrass. Where's that?
Oh, I just pulled that out of my head.
Oh.
On the 19?
On the 19?
Yes.
There's almost a melon too as it warms up a little. Like
So
I think I'm going to have to refill. I'm
What
running
is-
out. I'm running low.
Is there a list that he's reading off of?
Yes, you're gonna get it in your shipment. Well, hopefully you get it in your shipment because did you order the virtual 2-pack or did you just order bottles of that one?
No, because I had quite a few bottles of 18, so I just ordered 19.
So I'll email it to you. It's a tasting list and it just goes through sight, smell, taste, and it's just kind of notes to get you thinking about it. So I'll send you an email of it and you can print it out.
Perfect, thank you.
We're very professional.
Actually, she's really good. Well, this has been fun. We're still happy to do it as long as her battery is up.
Yeah, I think I was just going to try and keep going through this for my own edification. Dried fruit, I wouldn't say is in a white. Black fruit, I'd say is not in a white. Red fruit, I mean, I don't really see much. Tropical fruit, I think we said mango a little bit.
I said melon.
In 18.
Tropical fruit and melon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But definitely citrus, lime. maybe a little-
Lime. And that's in what, the 18 or?
I'm out of line because I get grapefruit.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's something about this juxtaposing the flavors of wine to fruits or vegetables like green pepper or something. I just as soon have a glass of Sauvignon Blanc next to a glass of Chardonnay, next to a glass of Pinot Gris, next to a glass of Riesling, and I'll say, well, that's Sauvignon Blanc, and that tastes different than the Chardonnay, which tastes different from the Pinot Gris. And fruit schmoot, it doesn't make that much difference to me. That's probably kind of a Neanderthal approach to it, but I like the Sauvignon Blanc a lot. And I like the 16 Riesling, which is lots of fruit.
Yeah, the Sauvignon Blanc's great. We're going to be pouring it at our wedding, actually. Thanks, Dad.
Excellent.
We ought to have that, we ought to contact the winery and have them do that. Actually, we sent you a couple cases the other day, James.
Nice.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
already got that. No, you got the Zin, didn't you?
Got the Zin.
Yeah.
This is the first I've tried the 19 Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh.
Oh, what do you think?
It's great. I really like this exercise, trying the two again.
Well,
I
I
like
don't
the
know whether it was
19.
your idea or your sister's idea, but it was a great idea.
So Guinness, I have a question for the Riesling tasting on Saturday.
Okay.
I did cheese crackers today. What are you recommending for something to complement the Riesling during the tasting on Saturday?
You mean What,
Food.
well, normally, Riesling, we usually say something spicy like Thai food or any Oriental food, that sort of thing. Um, Sauerkraut. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they do it over there. Yeah, that's about it. Go to Brasserie Alsacienne in Paris and order choucroute and have a Riesling with it. It's really good stuff. I usually drink beer with choucroute, but God, I wish I'd love to go back to Paris and have a choucroute at Brasserie Alsacienne.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can make that happen.
yep, we're gonna do that again.
Good. With the 16 in particular, I really liked having something desserty that's not too sweet. So it might be interesting if you had something kind of spicy and then also a little something sweet.
Where are you living?
Ginny's in Ukiah.
Okay.
I'm in Ukiah. I'm
I'm trying to think of if Shots has a custard something or.
Yeah, like a little custard tart or something like that would be nice.
interesting. I'll check it out.
And
Hey,
Shots.
did you figure out how to record, Fontaine?
Yes, we're recording.
Okay, good. You can scratch that question out then. You can edit that out, please.
I'll definitely be doing a lot of editing.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know how to edit things. That's going to go up as is.
Well, this is fun. This is fun.
Yes. What can you say about, I absolutely love your Gewürztraminer. Did I pronounce that right? Okay, Gewürztraminer. Like, where does that is that spice from the grape itself, or?
Yes.
Is there,
Gewürztraminer is the only grape that we grow that when you pick a berry before harvest, you taste the wine. You know, I can taste the difference between a Sauvignon Blanc grape and a Chardonnay grape or a Riesling grape, but I can't transfer that taste over to what the wine tastes like. Gewürztraminer, the berries taste like what the wine's going to taste like when it's made. Cabernet is like that, but I don't grow Cabernet. But very few varieties are like that. One of my fields that I grow Chardonnay in has a sort of a flavor of what's the, God damn, I hate being old. I forget the name of this grape. Anyway,
Don't feel like Lone Ranger.
you can taste it in the vineyard, and you taste it, but it doesn't show up in the wine. Wine's good for Chardonnay. I'm not a big Chardonnay guy, but we make a nice Chardonnay with no oak, and that's what seals the deal for people.
Well, they both drink really well. I really like our Sauvignon Blanc, and it's no surprise it's our bestseller.
It is our bestseller. We sell about 4,400 cases of it, and we're small, but that's bigger than the 300 cases total I started with in 2013. Muscat is the grape. I knew that later I'd go through the Rolodex and come out with it. And the Muscat grape flavor, I detect in that one field of the Chardonnay, not the other field. Slightly different types of soil, same budwood. As a matter of fact, the budwood from this one came from that one, but it doesn't, I've never tasted the Muscat flavor. And this is a silty loam, and this is a gravelly loam. And therein lies the difference in the end product, which is kind of neat. I knew more about growing grapes 50 years ago when I started than I do now, because every time I look at things, it turns out a little differently, and I have to sort of analyze what's going on. And Jose Norman, who's been with me for 48 years, we both realize that we don't know jack about what we're doing. Lucky that we're still here. The other day, 2 years ago almost, we were right out here behind the house on a Friday. We were getting ready to celebrate my 80th birthday. And I was sitting there with him. We invited all the Mexicans and their families up here to have a barbecue, and he and I were sitting and we were watching my kids, all 5 of them, and his 3, and their kids, and they grew up here on the farm, all of these people together. And it was just a kick to watch them all get together and introduce their spouses and their kids. And it was, it's the best. You know, if you want to live a good life, you got to have a lot of good memories. And that showed me one of the best memories there is. Yeah.
And the tequila came out, and I took a
That's
turn.
a good one.
Yeah, Fontaine disappeared with everybody, and I'm not into tequila, fortunately. He was moving a little slow the next morning.
That was bad.
Anyway, thanks. I got to run, but thank you for doing this. It was very educational and fun. So hopefully I'll be joining on a future call.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Take care.
Anthony, thanks for joining.
Anthony, you work with Jameson?
Yes.
Was Bob Doranwood working with you guys too?
Yes. Bob.
He was a good friend of one of my best friends at Notre Dame, and we used to go out on things at Cape Cod. He was part of that group.
Great. Good man. Good
You'll
man.
remember me. Nice meeting you.
Good guy.
Likewise. Take care.
Take
Bye,
care.
Anthony.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
So now we're down to 6. And
7,
does
Randy.
Randy Johnson, can he chime in? Or?
His video is off.
I can chime in if you can hear me.
We can
Nice,
hear you.
nice to hear your voice, Jameson, and nice to see the family. If I'm cutting in and out on top of a camera problem, I have a streaming problem. So I have all.
Randy visited here with a colleague.
But my camera went out.
Well, things are better in Texas,
lockdown.
Randy, thanks to you.
A little. Our honeymoon didn't get to last very long, Guinness, before we all got separated, but we're working on it.
Good. Well, we'll keep at it. Just get up every day and face another day in which to excel.
Lately, I've said I drink all I can and I sell the rest. It's working out okay, but I don't know how for long we're going to be able to do that.
That's what we do. That's our motto too.
Yeah, it's strange with what's happened with coronavirus, what different parts of the economy have really had an abrupt halt and what has had a pickup and sort of a pantry stocking effect, if you will. And obviously restaurants are closed, but people are buying wine from retailers and direct from wineries because they're staying home and they want to drink. And
that's true.
So far, so good. Thank God. I know, Randy, you guys, a lot of your business in Texas is in restaurants. But I know you're fighting to change and, do these virtual tastings and try and get in front of buyers and find new ways to keep selling wine.
Yes, it's been a challenge and will be a challenge, but change, I say, as difficult as this is, represents opportunity. So we're going to try to figure out how to win those opportunities over the next 6 months or so as we rebuild the business.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very fortunate. My people are in place, the team is intact, and we're going to try to keep it that way. And as I said, and win in the end, but it's a little frustrating at the moment.
These live tasting ideas seem to be great. You can really, they're fast. You don't have to really be fully dressed, and you got your kitchen right behind you.
What are you wearing, Esther? Never mind. Just kidding.
Really stinky clothes. I haven't showered in a long time.
I have a friend who lives down valley from us, and when I first came here, that was when we frost, the lower end of the valley would get the lower temperature, and I never trusted frost alarms, so I did a deal that when his frost alarm went off, he would get up and his wife would call me. And we still have a standing joke 50 years later. She'll call me and tell me, it's 35 degrees and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. You better get up and frost protect. And I'd say, what are you wearing, Judy? Well, you had to have been there. It was sort of funny.
Humor. No, that's good. Yeah.
He's always been hilarious.
Keeps us sane. Yeah.
So Fontaine, are you going to be marketing the wine glasses?
These ones, yes.
Yeah, because I'll be a buyer.
Absolutely.
Can't see them.
You can't see mine.
Can't see. No.
I'll make sure to
Oh,
put
I
it in
see
the
it.
next newsletter.
You got them, Joe?
Yeah, all these are.
Good for you.
We're trying to get enough we can make a market out of them. Sell them for $30.
How about making a documentary? You seem to be one of the first to do many things.
Have you seen our website with the little
single video?
Jean Marie?
Watch some of it. Maybe I have to check to see what's been updated. But yes, I've definitely gone on there.
Yeah, Jameson contacted this young fellow that is just an artist. And we've had guys with drones and cameras and have done a couple of things, but this man just made an art form of it, and it's really, really good.
All of the documentaries they're little mini documentaries on our website, and you can find them. They're on the homepage. Also, if you go all the way down to the footer in the documentary section, they're all listed there.
Okay, I probably haven't checked it since you did some updates, so I'll have to do that.
Yeah, they're really fun.
The garlic pasta is I'm just salivating thinking about that footage.
That was the meal that we all had on all of our birthdays every year, always growing up. Garlic.
Right.
That was my dad's recipe, and it's a pretty good one.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
2 bulbs, right?
Simple.
Bulbs.
Yeah, not cloves, bulbs. Yeah, before our birthdays, my dad would ask, so we have a birthday coming up. What would you like for dinner? And all of us would say the same thing. We'd have chicken that was marinated in a soy and balsamic vinegar and olive oil marinade, and then we would have and then grilled, and then we'd have garlic spaghetti and some garlic bread too. It has to be garlic bread.
Yeah, it was a pretty good meal.
It was good.
Right at this table too.
Oh.
Yeah. And salad.
And a salad and milk, always.
And milk. Oh, I drank too much milk.
Later years.
No wine?
When we got older, wine. Yeah.
We're talking like 11th birthday.
Jameson, you can move to Florida, Jameson. You can get your vitamin D in the sun and skip the lactate.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to move somewhere. Living in New York is not a hell of a lot of fun right now.
Where in New York are you?
I'm in Manhattan.
Oh.
Ah.
So you know Jimo, Dennis?
Do I know?
Dennis? No, does Jameson know?
Well, Jimo was here once. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, but he's in. You have a look right there in Manhattan.
Well, he probably doesn't know Jimo. They probably don't hang out in the same places. Of course, Jameson doesn't hang out anywhere now. He stays in the 27th floor. But Jimo was, yeah. Jimo was a fencer. He was an All-American fencer, actually.
All-American.
Yeah, I think he was. And, you know, our fence team was national champions. He roomed with John M. Kostecki Jr.
Yeah.
Was from Ephrata, Pennsylvania, who was one of the Irish Guards. And he was an architecture guy. Graduated a year after us because it was a 5-year program. And he used to deer hunt with a bow and arrow, which I always thought was kind of weird. I still do. Pete Jimo. Good guy.
Peter, he was down here and he stuck around a little bit longer. He didn't want to go back to New York because he knew he was going to have to sit around for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
he's a pretty lonely guy right now.
Well, his wife died, what, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's dating
got a
Susan,
girlfriend.
but he's still a pretty lonely guy.
Yeah, Taylor's afraid I'm gonna that she's gonna outlive me, you know, because I'm such an old man.
Well, you look like you're taking good care of yourself.
Oh, I appreciate that, Joe. I'm doing my best. I just went for a run in Central Park, a walk run. You know, I'll run for a mile and a half, then walk, and then run a little bit more.
Taylor waits for you for about a half an hour to catch up. She's
Oh
a
no,
marathon runner.
she doesn't run with me anymore.
It's not worth her time.
She's decided that she's run 4 marathons, so I'm, you know, we don't run the same way.
No competition there,
You mean
right?
she's faster than you are?
But no, she's not faster, but it's a tortoise in the hare kind of thing. In the end, she beats me.
Oh, okay.
I did go out with her to the Los Angeles Marathon, though, and I met her at mile 11, and I ran 11 miles with her in the marathon, and then bowed out at mile 22 because they won't really let you go much further, and I frankly couldn't go any further.
Why wouldn't you go much further than mile 22?
Well, there's a certain point where people who don't have the
Bib.
whatever the
Bib.
bib, they don't let you go any further. You
Ah.
can jump in and sort of.
Like climb out.
It wasn't there. That's in like mile 25 or something.
Does it still
27.
finish at the Coliseum at USC?
No, it finished down in Santa Monica, didn't it? On the boardwalk in Santa Monica. So I went home. I took an Uber. I could barely walk. Took an Uber, showered, and then went and met her. And then she had a bunch of friends meet and say, "Yo, congratulations!" And I said, "Thank you, 11 miles. It was personal best." It's really been an experience. I didn't think I could do it, but I did. And thank you.
Well, you know, four marathons is only 104 miles. My Dodge has 494,000 miles on it. I think it's better.
No.
Congratulations, Dodge.
I thought you had more miles than that on your Dodge. You know,
Yeah,
you
the
had
odometer's been broken for a year.
Yeah.
Although I have tendonitis in my left foot, and I thought I might have a torn Achilles tendon, but I think my clutch is going out. So I've shifted over to the gold automatic transmission pickup, Jameson, so I don't have to push the clutch in. And I think it's having an effect. I think and also the Advils that I'm eating are keeping the tendonitis down a little bit. This tendonitis, it's not fun.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Have you tried yoga or acupuncture to help with it?
What? No, I haven't. I have acupuncture in the past.
Mhm.
But,
Good idea.
yoga I tried once and I found out I wasn't flexible enough. There was a girl I was trying to kind of date who was in there, and that's why I did the class or two, and then she wasn't interested, and then I lost interest in yoga. This was a while ago when I was young enough to yoga to do me some good.
Ed, you're still young, you know that, right?
Actually, I don't.
Oh.
But I'm still alive. I'm still on the right side of the grass. And Leon and I, who's just bowed out, we're getting old. That's what we are.
We've been talking about that in our class, and everybody I've talked to say that we are very fortunate to be where we are. I mean, you know, people that have seen Guinness working out in the vines and other guys that are playing golf every day and swimming at 81, 82 years old, and guys walking 3 and 4 and 5 miles a day. So we're a pretty fortunate bunch in our class, I
I
think.
told you about Dee Stevenson, right? You gave me his contact. Did I tell you why I wanted it?
Yes, from
he was at Mount Rushmore with his wife, and there
if
was
I could have remembered what you told me, I would have said it.
I'll tell you
Well, he
again. There's this woman from Ukiah who works for the county who was in Mount Rushmore with KOA with her husband, and they went down to the patio for dinner, and there was a couple next to them, and they got to talking, and this fella asked where they were from, and she said, well, we're from Northern California. And he said, well, I know a classmate of mine from college in Northern California. He said a name I bet you never even heard of, Guinness McFadden. And she said, not only have I heard that name, but I know Guinness. And his was Dee Stevenson. I guess he's still playing tennis. He was.
Well, I think he's slowing down on that. He had a knee problem or something, but I think he still plays a little bit.
Well,
he played a long time.
Play racquetball. That's easier on you.
He walked the Appalachian Trail, just finished it.
Wow.
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
I think that's really silly. You can take a car and do it in no time at all, and it's just as fun. Colleen, how are you?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear it. For anybody that doesn't know, Joe and I were Notre Dame classmates, and he runs the group that keeps track of the ever diminishing group of us from the class of '60.
I've been the secretary for a little bit over 50 years.
Wow.
Who'd you take over from?
I'm not sure. I think I heard Mike McKee was for 1 year and he didn't send any articles in for the magazine, and they say publish or perish, and he perished. Silliman was the president at the time. Greg Rogers was involved. He died pretty early, but
Both
he
of
was
us
in
are dead.
class quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I have to look forward to.
Silliman, yeah. What do you have to learn? Yeah, she's the class president. She's the class president of everything she's been in.
Just college and high school.
Well,
great.
Right?
You still active in both?
I am.
Good.
She went to Wheaton College, and it had fewer students than her high school in the graduating class. And she was cum laude. And, I was wondering, how rigorous is this place? And what did you have? 4 Rhodes Scholars in your graduating class or something?
Wow.
There's
And a whole bunch of other fellowships. So
Rhodes, Watson, Truman, the Fulbright, always lots of those.
Yeah.
It reminds me of an old saying, first to give them roots, then to give them wings.
It's a good saying.
It is. I like that.
Yeah.
Esther, what are you up to? Where are you?
Said that about me, I would have made something of myself.
Oh, goodness.
Here I am, getting half in the bag at 5 o'clock in the evening.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to cut him off soon.
It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing.
Well, we got an advantage on you because the sun's down and we can go to bed at any time.
Dennis, I'm going to sign off as well. I'm going to go visit a restaurant friend, trying to get his doors back open and see if I can patronize and have a glass of wine with him.
Good, Randy.
Good.
Good speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining
Lovely
us.
to see all of you guys.
Let me tell you one thing about Randy. You still there?
Yes, sir.
You and your colleague came to visit me, and it was going to be a quick trip, and then you were going to visit somebody else that afternoon. We got into the wine and had such a good time that you guys sort of take a break, change your schedules. We got along quite well.
That's
That
great.
that was a fun afternoon, turned into an evening, and we had to come back in the following morning so we could actually talk business.
Yes, exactly.
And then, like I said, our honeymoon was cut a little bit short because once we got going here, then we all had to separate, which is kind of put the brakes on.
Like a lot of honeymoons, it was fun for while it first lasted. Father Mulcahy did not prepare me for it, and I thought it was pretty great.
I appreciate it very much. Lovely to see you guys.
Good
And,
seeing you, Randy. Take
we'll,
care.
We'll check in shortly.
Bye,
Okay.
Randy.
Bye.
All right, Randy. Take it easy.
All right, James. Thank you.
Get that
Thank you.
camera fixed.
Yeah. There's some concern that I actually exist in fact. That's
Oh.
see you. Good evening, everyone.
Bye, Randy.
This is pretty neat, the way it changes everything.
Yeah. And now we're 6.
That is great.
Yeah.
Ian is still there, hanging
Well,
in.
this is a good idea, Fontaine. Thank you for,
This is wonderful. I'm so excited. I was the most excited person when I heard about this.
I think
Or
you
read
were.
it.
Well,
Where do you live,
good for a week.
Jan?
I'm in New
I
Jersey.
butchered your name. I'm sorry.
Where in New
No.
Jersey?
Ocean.
Pardon?
Where in New Jersey?
I'm in Monmouth County.
Okay.
Jameson, if you ever want to come down,
Well, thank you.
I'm
Are you-
not.
Have you been able to find blue quail in New Jersey?
No.
It's there. It's a big market for us.
Where? I've tried.
We have a pretty big box retail store that sells wine and spirits that does pretty high volume business. I'm trying to think what it is, but it's. Let me. I'll ask where and.
Keep getting it shipped. I keep getting it shipped.
Monmouth is on the north coast, right?
It's the northernmost, county on the beach, like where there's beaches.
And what are the towns there? You know, like you
Well-
got Ocean City farther south, but what's the one in north?
Oh no! So I am near. I'm blocks away from Asbury Park.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Red Bank, Rumson,
Yeah.
Field, or
I was just there actually last year. I was at the Monmouth Beach Club for a memorial service.
Get out! You're almost in my backyard.
So my husband's family, it was his uncle who passed away. So he has family in New Jersey. Their last name is Helson. But it was a really wonderful celebration, and the Monmouth Beach Club is beautiful.
Beautiful, yes, I've been there. I'm just a little bit further south, about 10 miles.
Yeah.
Further.
Oh, it's beautiful.
We used to spend our summers at Ocean City.
Okay, that's much further south.
Yeah. Down towards Cape May.
Right.
Summers Point was where we could go to drink beer. And
okay.
I remember going out of the bathroom at Tony Mart's into the Great Egg Harbor because the police were eating the place. And I wound up in the Great Egg Harbor. It's a wonder I wasn't killed because a whole bunch of people came in on top of me, but we all swam away.
Is that like Great Gatsby? East Egg and West Egg? Great Egg?
I don't know.
Long Island?
No, that's
New Jersey.
South Jersey coast.
I think the eggs for Gatsby were Long Island.
Yeah, that was Nassau County.
Right.
Wasn't it near Oyster Bay?
Yes.
Are you from back there, Esther?
The only time I spent back in New England area was during college when it was very cold.
At Cornell.
Yes, yeah. And then I was born actually in Lancaster County of Pennsylvania, but I guess that's kind of more mid-Atlantic than.
Outside of Philadelphia with the Amish people?
Yes, and the Mennonites.
Right.
And Bill McCoy.
God. Yeah. What was his nickname?
Ingemar.
No, that's not the name I was thinking of. He was in the cattle business too,
Yeah,
in Lancaster County.
yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy. Is he dead?
No,
Hmm?
he's still
Well,
with us.
Good.
Very
It's up there by the.
Jules.
all up
I think
in the
we
fridge.
called him Jules.
Jules.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of his
I
good
remember
buddies.
one time I was playing basketball with him in those outside courts out of Lions Hall, and I
Yeah.
went to wipe at the ball, and he moved it around. I slapped him in the face, and there was a moment, that I was expecting maybe the ball was going to come hit me in the face, but I said, sorry. He was cool, but Jules, he was a good guy. I liked him a lot.
He was a good buddy of David Andrew Fay.
Dave Fay from Boston, who
Yeah.
went to work for the financial people.
No, he was with the food company.
Dave Fay was?
Yeah, he was twice a food rep.
But he
and,
was from Boston, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You were in the
So
food
one,
for a while.
my fifth kid is named after him, David Andrew.
Oh, so I guess you're close.
David parks himself in a 27-foot Catalina in Marina del Rey, has no engine and a sailboat, runs it on an outboard.
27 feet.
Lives on it. Yeah. Everybody has a choice,
Yeah. And your son, what's your son's name? Who's the 3-star general?
That's John.
Wow.
John Jensen,
Yeah.
general of the Air Force.
I know, Marine.
Oh, God. That's
Very
really
impressive.
He's one of the 6, what do they call them? Assistant commandants or whatever it is in the Pentagon, and his bailiwick is, I think he calls it resources and events, but it's basically all the budgets of the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Wow.
He flew the 18s for about 25 years and then got into management. So he's doing.
How many years has he been in?
I don't know. I lost track. 30 or 32, maybe.
He has kids?
He has 3 kids. One was graduated from Virginia Tech, was a cadet in the cadet program, became a Marine, was a Marine for about 5 years, got married 2. He's at Duke now, getting an MBA.
He's out of the military?
Pardon?
He's out of the military?
He's out, yes. So I think his career and with the, flying the planes, the deployment situation was just horrible family-wise. But John's wife, I told her when John got his 3rd star, I said, Ann, you get 2 of these 3 stars. John only gets 1.
Amen to that.
You really.
Jameson turned me on to an outfit called Stronghead or Headstrong.
Headstrong.
And it's an organization that's designed to raise funds for psychological help for people with CPSD.
Yeah.
PTSD, post 9/11 veterans.
Yeah. We went to a dinner in San Francisco, and we were at a table with 7 or 8 people, and there was a Marine and a couple of Army guys and a woman who was in the Navy. They had all been in 9 to 12 years, and they all got out, and they just couldn't handle it anymore. And we're losing a lot by overusing those people. I wouldn't blame them a bit. We went to a wedding for one of my nephews, Jameson's cousin, in New Orleans, and it was black tie, and I always wear medals at black tie. And one of the classmates of this nephew of mine was a Marine on active duty. And he came over to me and we got a chatting. And I asked him, how long have you been in? And he told me, and he said he's getting ready to decide to re-up or not. And he said, what do you think, sir? I said, get out. I said, nobody's going to care if you get killed. Your family will, and your unit maybe, but nobody else will. They just keep sending you people over there as cannon fodder. You know, get the hell out. You know, and James, I don't know what happened to that guy, whether he did get out or not. I think I asked William if he did, but I never got an answer. But the way they're treating the military is unconscionable. Your son, John, is not having to deploy as much, but boy, God help somebody that's got a kid that's in his 30s and 40s. They go over there and, oh, man.
Yeah.
And not for good reason. Nothing ever really happens to make any difference.
He was out on 9 deployments, I think, in the years he flew. And those were all 6 months at a time. And then it takes 2 months before you go to build up your qualifications, depending on whether you're going to do aircraft or land, or whether you're going to do air to ground or air to air.
Did he land on aircraft carriers?
Oh, yeah. Most of his duty was on aircraft carriers.
Wow. So he was deployed for a long time.
Yeah. And that's why Ann gets 2 of his stars. I mean, those kids are all just like this, 3 kids, and you know, she really did a job with them. It was.
But John and Ann now have a bushy life. You know, they're in DC, and I think they're making some good money, and they got things pretty. It's not always easy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough deal.
That in the freezer. Oh, yeah.
Well, I got a notice that my battery is just about shot.
20%.
I don't even see the number now with this
Davis
screen up.
got a model of a. Looks like a
Oh, look
battleship.
at that.
Legos.
What ship is this?
Yeah, carrier.
I can't read it. What ship is it,
The
James?
Alabama? No.
Battleship?
It's a battleship, the Alabama.
Down in Mobile?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
It's
cool.
the USS Missouri.
Oh,
it's a battleship,
Yep.
famous one.
That's what the pandemic did for Jameson.
The big-
Got him into
I mean, look at all these guns.
Who built that?
I mean, there are guns everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the battleship's about. But I mean,
If you were
this
in the
thing-
Pacific in World War II, you would need every single one of those.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
this thing is cool.
I've got a daughter who's a
Captain in the maritime. She's a
and,
pilot.
and 9/11, she took one of those things up into the Potomac River, and she says she cannot believe all of everything that was
Electronics and armament.
electronics and all the missiles and everything that were
Oh,
on
that's
that.
right, she's a pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, Maryland pilot. She said that she got on, you know, it's a Navy ship. And she said, you know, those Navy guys don't want anybody taking over running their ship.
No, they don't.
Especially a woman. And so she told the captain, she says, well, she says, I know you're busy. So if you want, I'll stand here and guide you up through the buoys, or if you want to go do what you got to do, I'll take it up and I'll put it in as tight as I can get it. She said she had about 2 feet of draft left on that big thing.
Wow.
Put it up there. The captain said, yeah, you go ahead and take it.
But they didn't go up the Potomac all the way, did they?
Pardon?
They didn't go all the way up the Potomac.
No.
They went up.
Yeah, they went up to far as they can
I think
go.
Joe and I
They had-
talked about when I went up the Potomac, we passed Washington's tomb.
You were telling me that. That is
Yeah,
interesting.
when a man of war passes Washington's tomb, there's a procedure. You have to man the rail and toll the bells and then play the Star Spangled Banner because his tomb is right down on the water, right at Mount
Where
Vernon.
is it? Mount Vernon?
Oh, my.
On the Potomac River from the Chesapeake up into Washington.
And what was the dress?
Say again? Oh, full dress, of
What was
course. Full dress.
full dress?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dad, have you seen the History Channel series on Grant?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's
very
good.
good.
You gotta watch it. It's so good.
Who's
Three
buried in
pieces.
the tomb? Does it tell
Yeah,
you?
who's buried in
Marks.
Does it go into those details about who's buried in Grant's tomb?
Smith.
No, it's really good though. I mean, they go through, battle by battle and the different personalities and West Point and how everybody knew each other and South and Vicksburg and how pivotal that was and how Grant was aggressive and how they squared off in the wilderness of Virginia. It's
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's cool.
they were classmates.
He and Lee were classmates, I think.
Yeah.
They
They
certainly
were
all those guys were classmates. They
Yeah.
all knew each other.
Yeah.
And so Grant would meet with these, and they'd be like, "Okay, so what are the terms?" And Grant would say, "Unconditional surrender," and they'd be like, "What?" They'd be like, "Those are the terms." It's a really cool. It's only 3 parts, and they're like 80 minutes each, but it's very well done.
Very. And when I was going
Which
to high
Netflix
school,
or
they
Amazon?
about Grant, what a
History
great,
Channel.
Say again?
great general he
History
was.
Channel.
Yeah.
We can find it for you.
We can.
And
Again.
but they told us that he was corrupt, alcoholic, and when he became president, everything was negative. And this program says that's not the case,
It was the people
So-
in his cabinet that were corrupt, the Teapot Dome scandal and all that business. But he is a relative to a friend of mine, Rodion Mikhailovich Cantacuzene, his name was. He just died. He was 10 years older than I was. He was in the Navy and the naval attaché in Lisbon when I was there. And turns out that President Grant's daughter was doing the round the world tour and had a chaperone. And one of the stops they made was Constantinople or Istanbul. And she met this Russian prince, Rodion Cantacuzene, and they eloped. And Rodion was the grandson of this. And he went to the Naval Academy, and he was President Grant's great grandson, a Russian.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he married Marjorie Merriweather Post's niece.
Oh my God.
So he was very wealthy. Fontaine and I guess Mr. Post was the ambassador to Russia at one point, and he accumulated a lot of stuff there. And Fontaine and I were there visiting Rhodey and Melissa, his wife.
My mom, not me.
Yes, the other Fontaine. And we were sitting in the living room, and there were these plastic eggs. I thought they were plastic, and don't drop one of those. One of those eggs, Fabergé eggs. He had about 10 of them on the table there.
God.
I think they're called paper mache eggs.
No, I don't think they're the kind you
No,
hit
they
in
weren't paper
coin
mache.
and chocolates in for Easter for sure.
You know Wilkerson's sword that used to make the razor blades?
Yes.
He had a Wilkerson sword, a real sword. You know, the rest of us in the Navy had these swords that come from Germany. You hit a table with it too hard, it would break off. But he had one you could bend the tip around and hit the.
Oh my God.
Actual sword. And he was an amazing guy, and he took me under his wing when I came to Lisbon to sort of show me the ropes. And then it wound up I was more highly decorated than he was. But, that didn't set too badly with him.
How are you heating it up?
He was a good friend.
And that's when you learned to speak Portuguese?
Yes. You know, I was given the job to be an aide to an admiral in Portugal and had language training associated with it. And I figured I'd go back to Washington and go to language school for 4 months because I really enjoyed it when I was in Vietnamese language school. Washington was a great town. And they decided that I was going to live with a family up in the mountains in central Portugal for 4 months and learn language there. Oh, God.
Not DC.
Not DC.
That sounds great. That sounds amazing.
Castelo Branco. Aprendi a falar português como português. É difícil.
Say what?
Bravo.
Say what?
He said he learned Portuguese like a Portuguese person.
You know, the last time I was in Portugal, we were on a cruise, and Monk Malloy was with us. Monk Malloy is the past president of Notre Dame, and I was chatting with somebody at some luncheon, and after we're done, he looked over to me and he said, "You really speak that language, don't you?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do. It's difficult to learn, but not too easy to forget."
His Spanish, on the other hand.
I sound like a Portuguese Mexican, she says, because she sounds like from Andalusia in Spain.
Oh.
She lived there in a school year. Every morning she'd have to walk by Roman ruins to get to her classes.
In
And
Córdoba.
then she'd come back, and the kids who lived there just descended on her. And they loved her, and she would chat with them in Spanish and play games and everything. She really got into the culture.
It was fun.
Yeah, she's got a real ear for language.
Jameson was in Madrid.
Yeah, with all the tourists. He probably got laid a lot, but I don't think he learned the language.
Speak up, Jameson.
Sorry, James. I didn't mean to say that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the wine speaking, but yeah, the first semester that you're in anywhere, you're trying to learn a foreign language. It's you know, it's just you're trying to learn grammar and like vocabulary and whatever, and it doesn't really all come together until the second semester. So I was only planning on staying for 1 semester and then stayed a second, and that was when things started to come together and it was a bit more organic. And yeah.
Why did you leave early?
You know, he stayed an extra.
Yeah, I was only going to stay 1 semester, and then I stayed a second, and I didn't really make a lot of friends with the second group. I just tried to, you know, like Lola. So our
cousin by marriage.
Our cousin, I guess, our step cousin, lived there, and so I was hanging out with Lola and her friends and trying like hell to hang out with these Spaniards who were just probably like not really in their group, but
they were good looking people if they're like Lola.
It hurts your brain for after a while when you're just like in a group that doesn't speak English and you're like
try being in
constantly
with a bunch of Vietnamese.
You're just laboring to like interact, and it just, you know, it's difficult. I can't imagine Vietnamese. It's not anywhere near a Latin, you know,
and
sound.
It's also a tonal language. So if you're in a thing that you get excited and try to yell, you kind of make sure you have the right tone. I saw my counterpart who was Vietnamese yell at people in Vietnamese, and I know that you can do that, but I just was not. No, I would start yelling in English, like, watch out, there's a machine gun over there or something like that. Yeah, but my counterpart understood a lot of stuff.
Let's hear some Vietnamese.
Yes, yes.
Chào.
Like wine. How do you say wine?
Ông bà mà nhói cầm. Ông đi đâu đó, tôi đi là nha. Vậy thì hay lắm, tôi lúc này ra. Come on, ông. How's that?
What did you
Esther,
say?
do you understand all that?
No, but I like to pretend I can.
Ann, you're wandering around. I can see there your camera is moving around. Are you there still?
Yeah, I'm just sitting in my backyard.
Oh, good.
Which direction?
I hope you're having a good time. Are you going to join us again?
Unfortunately, not this weekend, but I certainly am loving this, and I hope you do it again. I have the cases of champagne being delivered next week, so I think a tasting, for champagne would be perfect.
Are you doing Brut and Rosé?
Fontaine.
Are you
both?
Are you?
We got both.
The Rosé and the Brut? Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a Brut and Rosé tasting.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think I like rosé.
Oh, I get salivating thinking about the rosé already. We tasted it the other night, and it's pretty spectacular.
You have plenty of Brut left, don't you, Dennis?
We do. We've got 400 cases for you, Joe. But when you order some Brut, we're going to send you a free bottle or two of the rosé. It may query your sales of the Brut, Guinness, but the rosé is just one.
Well, I'm getting ready to place an order.
Well,
excellent.
We're here.
I know.
What a treat this was. What time is it?
It's 5:40.
We've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes.
No,
This is terrific.
Up till about
I feel like I'm hanging with my new family that I didn't know.
Well, we are your family, lady.
up till about 3 weeks ago, this I don't know what Zoom package you have, but the free one was for 40 minutes.
Right.
And then during the COVID, they said, oh, the hell with it. So here we are, an hour and a half, and this has been terrific.
Oh, I had to upgrade my subscription so I could go past an hour.
Jean Ann.
There are about three, I looked it up because we're using it for a Mended Hearts group. It's a volunteer group that I'm heavily involved in. It's a non-COVID time. And so we're thinking of having, we've already had a executive committee meeting with one and worked fine. And then we're talking about having our monthly meetings, which cannot have in the hospital because they're still closed down on that kind of stuff. So but this Zoom really works well.
It does.
And I hope you bought a couple of shares 3 months ago.
Neat. Jean Ann?
Yes.
We're going to
story for you. Quick story. Got a guy named Kennedy. His last name's Kennedy. Turns out he lived in Cincinnati area, and he's a second cousin. And he said that we were related, and he had all the right things and all of that business, and we are. And then we corresponded for a while, and one day he calls me. His name is Dean Kennedy. He called me and he said, "There's a woman who says that she's your sister." And I said, "Oh, really?" "Yeah." He says she's lives in Massachusetts and wanted to know if I could give her contact information for me. And I said, "Well, hell, I'm on the internet, sure." So she calls me up. Turns out that when my mother and father split up, she hooked up with a fella, and I remembered him. When I was 15, she had twins with this guy, and had them in New Jersey.
Oh.
And it was a boy and a girl. The girl was put up for adoption, and the boy was sickly. So my mother kept him for about 2 years as an unwed mother, never notified the father, and the boy died.
Oh.
And the girl was adopted, and she's the one that contacted me. And that's
Wow.
my half sister who lives in Salem, Massachusetts, Susan.
Wow.
And Judith and I met her. She looks just like my brother Tommy. I mean, just like my brother Tommy. And so my mother, interesting the way.
Must have been hard for her, your mom.
You know, I have a picture of her right there when she was 16. She was beautiful. She was in the upper echelons of New York society, rode horses at Madison Square Garden at the horse show, and was just gorgeous. And things didn't work out. She was a drinker. I remember that quite a bit. She died when she was in her early 40s.
Oh, wow.
But so I got this half sister who was just kind of a neat lady, whose husband just died. So things are interesting in that respect. I've been meaning to call her in the next little whatever. But so there are a bunch of McFadden bloods around. Are you a McFadden, or are you married to a McFadden?
Oh, I am a McFadden.
Okay.
I'm first generation. My brother and sister were born. Sorry, I think I just.
We
Did I
can
get
hear you.
muted?
No, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm signing off. I was muted. Good to be with everybody. I have to have dinner with my wife-to-be, and
Nice.
this has been fun.
That means
And I'm sorry to leave. I hate to leave a party before it's done.
Cooking?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
go to it, young man. This is
All right, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Love you.
Bye, brother. Love you.
Love you.
The
See you.
invitation.
I think that also, I'm kind of hungry also. Maybe it's the pregnancy, but I might have to wrap things up and go get tacos with my husband.
But
Well,
I will.
Esther and me, I guess we're going to
get-
sign off too, except I don't know how to sign off. If Anne Fontaine signs off, we're all signing off. Joe Jansen's gone.
Thank you so much for arranging this. It was wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, this has been great.
I hope you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jean Ann. Thanks, Esther.
Jean Ann, take care.
Likewise. Love you guys already. I just met you.
Bye.
Bye.